All right, welcome all, and I hope you've all been enjoying the session so far. There's been some great presentations yesterday and today, so look forward to really delving deep into partnerships and particularly wanting to share some practical actions that hopefully you can take away and deploy into your own business. So I'll be taking through a quick introduction and then really how does partnerships and RevOps kind of marry up together. And then in terms of the actions, we're taking 3 from co-marketing, co-selling and co-serving, and then we'll have an additional action and wrap up. So a little bit about me and why I'm here today. So I'm a Chief Revenue Officer, fractional partnership consultant, a lot of experience through B2B technology, partnerships and SaaS. And from my experience of being on different seats at the table, be it sales, marketing, or CRO, I've started to see more and more, as Ivan's just alluded to, partnerships really becoming a very important part of the revenue team. And with that, going forward, my mission was to really elevate and shine the light on the potential of partnerships, and that's what I'll hope to achieve today. And I've got the QR code for LinkedIn, so feel free to follow and connect, and we can chat after the session as well. So why partnerships and why now? So really, the way I kind of look at the last 20 years of the internet and software and the digital age is we've really moved from a what economy. So we started out in the 2000s thinking about what is a CRM, or if you're CFO, what is an ERP system? Into the 2010s, it was like, how do I deploy a ERP or a CRM? How do I think about sales ops? We've become, immune to a lot of the noise in the market. So I really believe in the 2020s, we're now thinking about who can I speak to? Who can I get influence from or recommendations from that can help me solve my problems? And that really sits in with community, with partnerships, with those trusted people that you know. So, when Ivan and I met last week and discussed the session today, it really brought up a lot of common threads, I believe, between RevOps and partnerships. And that is, when we think about partnerships historically, it's been a bit of an art, bit of a run by spreadsheets or lunches. Moving forward to today and beyond, we've become highly programmatic, really thinking about how we leverage the CRM. There's hundreds of new partner tools. And so that's where I believe partner ops and RevOps can really help enable and get the very best from partnerships, which ultimately will deliver value to the company. So quite recently, as recent as March, April, and the previous speaker mentioned HubSpot as well, HubSpot, Pavilion and partnership leaders put a survey out to really kind of get a finger on the pulse of what are marketing and sales leaders thinking about partnerships. So this is outside of the echo chamber of partner leaders, but really going to marketing and sales leaders and asking them, first question here is our partnerships becoming more or less effective? And as you can see, really strong vote for becoming more or slightly more effective as a channel. So, great to see the data so backing up the story. Okay, so I want to jump into co-marketing, and starting with a quote from Pavilion, actually, community is the new Google. I'm sure you can all kind of think about different experiences, whether at home or at work, where you look at the SEO and look at Google Ads and you're not quite sure how it's been derived. You go speak to a friend or a colleague and you get that much more trusted kind of authority. So another quick insight from the survey I mentioned before, and this really was asking the marketing leaders which factors had the biggest impact on the purchase decision of the buyer. And again, if you look at the bottom 2 rows here, it's very much around the professional networks, that peer-to-peer network, and also the partners, the other service providers, the other tech vendors. So again, very much playing into that partnership ecosystem. So from a co-marketing point of view, the benefits, I think, are pretty well understood in terms of you can reach a wider audience, you can tell that better together story. Where it comes a little bit more friction is where there's often a bit more work to do, and there's a perception of actually it's a higher customer acquisition cost. So 3 actions, around co-marketing that can really help elevate and get the most out of co-marketing. First is enablement. Now, on a direct marketing playbook, most teams have a pretty well structured kind of weekly, monthly cadence. When it comes to partners, it's often a little bit kind of shooting in the dark. So there's not really that cadence, that process, and that systemization of how to co-market. So I think, one thing I'd certainly recommend is always documenting how are you going to co-market and what are going to be the relative responsibilities between each parties, to really make it more frictionless in terms of implementation. The second, certainly come up with this, I have come up on these things quite a few times in the past, and that is, what about the data sharing? Whose lists are we safe to share with, and how does it work in terms of IP or existing customer engagement? So absolutely, it really helps to get those things aligned internally and approved. And then the third area, the third action, is to think about the tracking and the workflow. So again, a direct motion, typically you've got your MarTech into your CRM, and you can attribute the emails and touch points. As soon as it goes to a partner, often that gets a bit lost. So I'd certainly recommend where a partner's sending out the email, you've got the UTM tracking back into your system, for example. So really thinking about all the movements of data and influence you have through that buying process. Moving on to co-selling, and just picking up a quote from Guy Rubin, who presented yesterday on the session, relationships drive revenue. Now, I just love that sentiment, and really speaks to co-selling. So again, quick insight to the report from HubSpot, Pavilion Partnership Leaders, and again, a very similar output in terms of 80 to 86% felt that either professional networks or those other partnerships really were the biggest impact on that buying decision. So again, thinking about how do we leverage those influential people and businesses. And that's where the co-selling comes into play. Something which I think, again, is under invested into for a lot of businesses, because they are thinking about that direct sales motion. The benefits, again, I think most of you and most of us would have had the experience where a warm referral will convert at a higher rate, will convert quicker, and will convert often at a larger value. It's about getting that buyer behavior intel from your partners. We've got opportunities in the pipeline. How do you get influence from partners to give you a good word or a recommendation internally? So lots of benefits. And the friction sometimes comes when AEs and sometimes SDRs don't quite see the value, or perhaps are disincentivized to actually work with partners. So leads on nicely to the 3 actions around co-selling. First one, I think, is a low-hanging fruit in a lot of businesses. What I suggest here is just review your current sales commission plans. Are they built in a way that's going to reward collaboration? Are they built in a way that's going to build trust across internal and external teams? And then account mapping. Again, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of great partner tools out there that have been developed to really help enable co-selling. There's one particular group called Partner Ecosystem Platforms. 2 you may have heard of. One is called Reveal, the other is Crossbeam. And what they do is embed partner data right into the CRM, right into the sales team, their workflow. So they're in an opportunity and they can see, hey, we've got 4 partners who already serve this prospect. Gives them the workflow to then contact those partners and get the recommendation or get the referral. So really powerful. And then the third one around co-selling is enablement. It's a big topic across a lot of businesses and certainly with sales and CS. But that is how to add value right through the sales process when a partner's been involved or could be involved. And that communication can really be a powerful catalyst to that flywheel approach, where the more good news that flows back to the customer, that will then be retold to the partner, and then they'll be more incentivized again to give you referrals and help you again. So it's really creating that circle of trust that is so much oils the flywheel. And then the third part of the collaboration is co-serving. This is where the CS teams, I think, a really big opportunity here. And just a small quote from Adam from Instant Pay: partners can play a critical role in optimizing the customer journey, right throughout their lifetime. So the benefits, and again, in the customer success area, partners, I think, are probably the least engaged for most companies I've worked with, both in tech and SaaS companies. So I think, again, this is probably one of the areas of low-hanging fruit. And certainly in the current economic environment, one of which I think a lot of partner teams or partner motions should be leaning into. Benefits, around integrations, really powerful. Increased adoption, engagement, and stickiness. Service partners can help on board, but also they can be your eyes and ears into the customer. So when renewals come up or opportunities for upsell and cross-sell, they can be there and they can be in your back pocket to help in those motions. You can build case studies. You can understand who the partners are and build that better together story, all resulting in lower churn rates and higher net revenue retention rates. Again, as I mentioned before, around the customer success area, it really is a greenfield for integrating and working with partners. And so, again, a segue to the 3 actions on the CS. Firstly, this is a quick win. I think everybody could do this, hopefully pretty simply, and that is going into your CRM, picking a client. Let's call it HSBC. Look at all the email addresses of everybody in your CRM, HSBC, on that account. You will then find, typically, there'll be a few other email address domains which are not HSBC, and this will be where service providers or system integrators have been granted access to your system by the client, and those are trusted partners. So they are naturally going to be really strong prospect partners for you. So pretty quick, but a pretty great win in terms of finding those partners, seeing where they reside in and amongst your clients, reaching out and informing that partnership. Another action, which is a similar motion or similar result, and that is really building a landscape of all the partners that are serving your existing customers. And often a QBR is a good place to do this, where you can have that more strategic conversation and really like plotting out the full partner stack or the full technology stack which partners may be influencing or embedded into. And again, this can play well into complementary go-to-market stories, or even forward into integrations, which may even help further stickiness and retention. The final point here is around enablement, and again, I would suggest for the CSMs and the CS team is to take it step by step. They're very focused on the customer for good reason. So it's how do you find those quick wins and small bite-sized ways that you can influence and add value to their process. So certainly think, account mapping again can be very powerful, but also building some clear process just to help them sort of understand how to leverage their customers and partners together. And then A final action, number 10, and this is really, I guess, a mindset around how to work and think about partnerships within the wider revenue team. As I mentioned before, the partnership with RevOps and partnerships, I believe, is a really strong one. There's a lot of common goals and common kind of ways that we want to influence and add value to the business, and using the insights that we gain in working together to bring out the stories and bring out the data points to really show the power of partnerships. Often it's not directly attributable. You may not see it, popping up in UTMs or tracking or other paid ways that sometimes direct motions can show. So it's very much about how to elicit and really display the power and the value that partnerships can bring. And then the final piece of this is really to think about how do you concentrate and focus the resource of partnerships through the other parts of the business and really have an aligned strategy. So it's not a sales and marketing direct plus partnerships. It's how do you actually evolve and integrate and embed partnerships into your existing direct motions. And so finally, a quick wrap up. Again, welcome to connect on LinkedIn. A few just highlights to wrap up in terms of the key sort of takeaways here is, as I mentioned just before, aligning the indirect and direct motions and figuring out what's the best playbook to really get the best of both. There's certainly value in going direct, of course, but how do you integrate and focus resources to get a very aligned go-to-market plan. I think it's always worth thinking about partnerships not as a team or a function, but as a strategy. It really is how do you get closer to your customer through those influential communities or partnerships. And as I've done today, kind of think about each stage of the buying journey, whether it's initial awareness right through to a long-standing customer. What are the touch points that partners can help you achieve your goals? I see a lot of RevOps that, as Ivan mentioned earlier, really focus on sales and marketing and CS, and for a very good reason. I would also say, do include partner ops. Really think about how to, think about those tools. And then finally, it's about thinking about partner ecosystems and how to get the best out of those and really make it happen.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jason. I really enjoyed that because as I'm continuing to say those 2 days, I'm really in favor of humans and human relations, even though we are very vastly speaking and like developing our strategies in a world that technology and now AI is overwhelmingly everywhere in every aspect of our lives and businesses. So and I really like what you said about that a partnership is not a department, but it's more of a strategy. And here is a question that I would love to ask you. What are the different business models maybe or different companies, and then also the size, the moment where you actually need to introduce such kind of a strategy into your business?
It's a very interesting question in terms of when to focus on partnerships, and there's many different views. My view is that partnerships really succeed when a direct motion has proven product market fit. There are some businesses that go partner first, channel first, but I think typically if you're a B2B technology or SaaS company, really prove in your pre-seed to Series A that you've got that really strong muscle of you can sell, you can market, you can find the customers, you can get that product market fit. It's almost like premature if you just try and go to partners first when you don't have that strong proposition or track record. You also build up something you can give to the partners too, because partnership is a two-way street, right? So it's very much about you've built some assets which you can then give to partners.
Great, great. Thanks. Yeah, I think it's also from the perspective of the business model when it comes to what you are selling. When we see that, for example, in HubSpot's case, as soon as your business is you're selling a more complex service or product, a product that actually helps clients in various ways, it needs to be really adopted in the really right consecutive way. Then one of the best ways to do that and to succeed in selling your product is to have those partners that can co-sell with you, co-market with you, and very important thing, co-serve, which is the very essence also of the partnership as well.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure we've all seen the stats around how many buyers make up a buying circle in mid to large enterprise, and for a direct motion to try and get influence to all of those 8 or 10 or 12 people, it becomes a lot for an AE or a sales team. So yeah, having those partners who can help you, talk to the CEO, talk to the CTO, get those different layers of influence and referral.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. Really honored to have you today with your presentation. I think it was very interesting. So really looking forward to meet you again and maybe speak in September as well. Now we are moving to the next topic.
Okay. Thanks, Ivan. Thanks, everyone.